What challenges do food manufacturers face in sourcing ingredients? Can we order small pack sizes and quantities? How to be innovative and limit the R&D costs at the same time? Do we have competitive prices for ingredients? Are we covering demand, costs, and resolving supply issues? Listen to our food ingredients experts discuss the biggest questions facing buying food ingredients today. Welcome to One to Taste Talks Food Ingredients.
Welcome to the 5th episode of One to Taste Talks Food Ingredients. I am Jasper Schouten, CEO of One to Taste. And today I will talk with my guests about the latest trends in sustainability of food ingredients. My guests for today are Monique van de Vijver of Solidaridad Network, Florence Span of Peel Pioneers, Alvaro Manuel Garcia of Agrosingularity, Aart van de Bos of Moringa Wize, and Bert-Jan Ottens of Profound Advisors in Development. Welcome to a new episode of One to Taste Talks Food Ingredients. In today's episode, we will be discussing sustainability trends in food ingredients. Our episode features 5 food experts who will provide their unique insights on developing a prototype, achieving prototype status, managing procurement, and overseeing the supply chain. You'll gain a deep understanding of how sustainability is becoming a key driver in the food industry and how businesses are adapting to meet the growing demand for sustainable practices. Join us as we explore the latest trends in innovations in sustainable food ingredient production and consumption. Hi Monique, welcome to One to Taste Talks Food Ingredients with a special subject of today is sustainability. And who better to talk to than to you, Monique. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Solidaridad, the NGO you're working for?
Yeah. Thank you, Jasper, for giving me this opportunity to talk to you about this important topic. My name is Monique van de Vijver, as you said. I work with Solidaridad for 20 years now, and my career in sustainability goes back for 30 years. I was at the very start of the Max Havelaar Fair Trade certification label when it was launched, and that was an initiative of Solidaridad. And since then, many other initiatives have been developed and implemented and tested with smallholder farmers in the field.
Very interesting. Certainly, knowing that you've been involved in Max Havelaar, which was early days, actually fair products into the markets. We're talking a little bit about the new trends in the market, where sustainability is actually a kind of backbone towards a new creation of ingredients. How is Solidaridad looking at that, and what is your perspective? Even taking your long history with also Max Havelaar, how do you see this developing?
Yeah. Well, I think sustainability is a trend in itself now. When you talk about trends in the food industry, and I think it is a trend not only because it is fashionable, not anymore because it is fashionable, or maybe because you can use it to increase your sales, but it is becoming clear that there are real and serious issues at source, and that we have to start doing things differently if we want to secure also the future success of our food businesses.
And if you say that, do you see, because you've been working in this field for 20 years, do you see a difference today versus 20 years ago? Is there more acceptation in the market? How do you see that?
Yeah, so let us go back more than 30 years ago when Max Havelaar was launched. Back then, it was very hard to convince businesses to even step in this fair trade labeling approach. So more doors were closed on us than opened for us. So that was really a big difference. Maybe 10 years after, when we also got involved in the roundtables for sustainable palm oil, sustainable soy, sustainable sugarcane, then things started changing and we became more visible in the industry, and companies started knocking our doors also because we were able to reach more scale in our operations. So that was then already a big trend and a big change, of course. And now what I see is that the importance of the lessons learned by Solidaridad over the past 30 years is also, I think, important for real change to happen. Because if now, in the past 30 years, we are where we are, we can only say that problems got worse, not better. That means that more radical solutions are needed. And it actually means that we have to transform the way in which we do business. So, of course, businesses are very much profit driven, and it is all about maximizing growth, maximizing profit, and then at the cost of lowering your input costs. So, and also at lowering the cost of your labor. And that has shown to be a killing way of doing business, because you can see all the social unrest, the political unrest, the damage which is now being done to nature, our ecology, our climate. So this is a dead end street. And I think our conclusion is that we have to actually transform the way we do business. And that is, I think, the agenda that we want to drive now.
Yeah, you once said as well that you want to go beyond certification for ingredients. And so how is Solidaridad trying to help this pull off and taking all the learnings from the past and make it work?
Yeah. So you mentioned also to me earlier, you asked me about the scalability of what we do, right? So, and I think what we try to do after launching Fairtrade Max Havelaar through the corporate sustainability, the corporate social responsibility CSR approach, and then the roundtable approach, the sector transformation approach, that was very much meant to scale up the numbers, right? So that meant that more smallholder farmers were involved. But what we see is that in the end, the global players, the big corporates, they don't want to pay higher prices. So after Fairtrade, no other sustainability certification actually guaranteed a minimum price to farmers. And that actually is very much what they need to be able to invest, for instance, in their resources and the quality of their produce. So I think now, after 30 years, we need to kind of close back that circle and understand that, we cannot continue this way of working. But we also see that these big businesses, they are anonymous businesses. So they are shareholder owned, they are shareholder value driven. And so we don't see them change and transform that easily. So I think it is very important, that we start focusing more on small and medium players in the industry, because also it has been, of course, the policy and the strategy of the big players to push out the smaller ones and to increase their strength and their power by fully integrating their supply chains, because that provides the maximum control and maximum profit, of course, throughout. So for us and for me especially, it is important, to start focusing on these small and medium enterprise where anyhow I see more innovation, I see more interest in sustainability. I see a lot of companies coming up, which I call new economy companies, which are purpose-driven. So it is not only about the profit, it is also about the impact, or at least they are more aware that they don't want to do harm, to resources, to nature, and to people.
Yeah, I mean, you're preaching to the choir. Absolutely, we believe in the small and medium-sized enterprises and the change they're driving. A great example is Willie Croft, who has as a CEO Mother Nature. Having said that, so what programs do you have to empower? We work together, obviously, but what other programs are you doing, or education programs do you have to actually reach those SMEs?
Yeah, so what I'm noticing is that Solidaridad, we have focused a lot on, of course, working with smallholder farmers, training them on good agricultural practices, organizing them, training them to become more entrepreneurial when it comes to farming. And then we would link them up to processing industry, which is generally local and which is generally then supplying to the global players in the industry. So in that sense, we have not gone so much beyond, the local enterprises. So when I think, in our collaboration, we've been looking at how can we build shorter supply chains, how can we make them more direct, and how can we establish more direct linkages between small and medium players and in the countries of origin and between the buying companies here. And that is a challenge. That is a challenge. I will never say sustainability is easy. You will never hear me say that, building these short supply chains is easy, but it is for me definitely the road that we must start walking. And I think, if we work together on this, and if we build like a network of companies, small and medium enterprises, which share the values that support sustainability, then I think, in time we can grow and we can make it work.
I completely agree. Unfortunately, Monique, it's already come to an end. And I really appreciate it. And I'm sure we're going to talk more with you in the future because I think we can zoom in on a lot of different subjects. And I would like to take the time for that in another podcast, maybe. But for now, thank you so much for taking the time to share your long experience. And we'll be obviously in touch, and people can always go to the Want to Taste on the sustainability on Solidaridad, or can go directly to Solidaridad to see what you guys are doing for a lot of people. Thank you very much, Monique.
Thank you so much, Jasper. We'll be in touch, and maybe next time we can do a podcast from India or somewhere, in the country of origin, where you can maybe directly share also the story of the smallholder farmers.
That sounds great. Let's do that.
Wonderful. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Florence. Welcome to the Want to Taste Talks Food Ingredients webinar. Today we are specifically talking about sustainability, and obviously you and the Peel Pioneers cannot miss this event because you have that as a great motto in your company.
But yes, thank you for having me.
Great as well. Can you, for the listeners, because maybe not everybody, I think Peel Pioneers is already quite famous, but maybe you can tell a little bit about the company and about yourself.
Yes, of course. Hi, I am Florence. I'm the food application specialist of Peel Pioneers. I'm working here now for 1.5 years. And my main focus is mostly on the ingredient, the fiber, the Phoenix fiber, because of its nutritional value and its functionality. And about Peel Pioneers, we are a company based in the Netherlands, in Den Bosch, and we are collecting orange peels. So from all the supermarkets and retail, we are collecting the peels from the juicing machines that are coming free while juicing. So the consumer gets their juice and we get the peels, and we are making from the peels all kinds of ingredients. For example, the cold pressed oil, the D-limonene. We are cutting the peel also in little pieces and sugar them for the bakery industry. And last but not least, the fiber. So that's a nutritional fiber that we are making now.
So you're taking the waste streams, in fact, and you're upgrading that to high value ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at your products and you look at the market, do you see that the market is specifically interested in sustainable ingredients?
Yes, we see that shift now really happening because everybody wants to have like a sustainable impact on the nature world, and everybody is really willing to reduce their carbon footprint, for example, and really sustainable products, especially waste stream products.
So that is for you a big driver in the success of Peel Pioneers.
Yes.
Hey, and if you look at your customers, when they start working with your product? What is it that they find important when testing your products?
Yeah, they first say like, "Oh, amazing what Pill Pioneers does. We love the company, the concept of the company, and therefore also the ingredients." So they're mostly interested in, for example, cold pressed oil because it's very fragrant. It gives a really nice round orangey flavor to, for example, muffins, or you can put it in perfumes, but also our fiber because it's widely applicable in every kind of application. So we're now really focusing on the food market. And we see that, for example, our fiber, we had first had an original fiber, which had a lot of orangey taste and was a little bit of orange. And we thought, okay, this is our orange fiber, original orange fiber. We want to put it on the market, but we got feedback that, okay, that this is very niche market to be used because, in the hamburger, for example, you don't want an orangey flavor. So that's why we went to a more neutral fiber without taste or color, and now it's more widely applicable in every segment of the food industry.
Is there, and when people start engaging with Peel Pioneers, what you also mentioned yourself, I can see that enthusiasm, and we are a big fan of Peel Pioneers ourselves. But is there sometimes a perspective that, because it's a waste stream, the quality must be inferior? Is that something that you sometimes experience?
No, not really. But because citrus fiber is already on the market, so they are already thinking like, okay, this is a standard that it needs to, how it needs to behave. But we are sometimes even exceeding that standard. So they're really happy about seeing the functionality and how it behaves in different products. For example, in mayonnaise, it can really enhance the creamy flavor. Or it can enhance the shelf life of bakery products, for example, muffins, that it's less dry after a few days.
And then you're talking specifically about the fibers, right? These are they water soluble fibers or?
Yeah, partly. Yeah. Okay. Water and oil soluble. Yeah.
So that's why they are effective in the muffins, because they take the moisture.
Yeah.
They absorb the moisture in that sense. Okay, great. And a little bit more about your interactions with your customers and your products. So what makes it that your ingredients are selected as in the winning prototype, or what do you advise your customers when testing your products or using your products?
So we are doing very proactively work, like testing all kinds of different food applications. So we can go to customers and give them like ideas, like, okay, we have tested this and this. Maybe you can also use it in these kind of products, for example, sugar replacement, fat replacement, because you want a similar mouthfeel, a similar texture. And you also wanted to have a better nutritional value with fiber and the similar mouthfeel. So we're really testing on every aspect and going to a customer and they are saying, for example, we are interested in binding capacity in, for example, plant-based hamburgers. And I can also say, it also gives more juiciness when you apply the citrus fiber in your plant-based hamburger. And we are giving lots of ideas, and we're also testing together with the customer to see, okay, how does it work in your recipe?
So it's a lot about the interaction with the customers. And do you share then recipes, or
yes?
How does that work?
Yeah, we mostly make ourselves like a recipe from the internet that we find in articles or just homemade recipes. And we are testing with that. And then we are sharing the results that we have. and give the customer ideas, and then we are testing together, like, oh, maybe it doesn't work how you want it to work, and then I'm like the troubleshooter, like, okay, have you thought about this? How did you dissolve it, for example? Yeah.
Wow. So you're giving the full support that a customer needs in order to use your products with success. And when they
Yes.
use it, do you provide them with a carbon reduction overview, or is there something that you still tell them when this is you save so many waste by using this product?
Yeah, we have done a study because mostly before it's going to peel pioneers, the peels were incinerated, so there's a lot of carbon, going into the world, and now we are just replacing them, or we're making fiber out of it and oil, so we're taking ingredients out of it. So the carbon, footprint goes a little bit down. So we say, you save a lot of carbon because you don't incinerate it, you reuse it again, it's a waste stream, and then put it back on the shelf in the supermarket, for example. And it goes another round in the food system.
Yeah, exactly. We already come to an end, Florence. I briefed you before that it's pretty short, but it's inspiring to see what Peel Pioneers is doing and what you are doing with your customers. And obviously, One Two Taste is very supportive on everything to do with sustainability and natural and organic ingredients. So great what you guys are doing, and I want to thank you for your time and efforts today and participation in the webinar. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Hi, Alvaro. Great to have you in Want to Taste Talks Food Ingredients. Today we're going to talk about sustainability, and Agrosingularity is very much focused on this particular aspect. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and Agrosingularity?
Sure. First of all, hello, Jasper. Thank you for the time and the invitation. This is a really good opportunity for us. I will try not to be very boring and try to make it short. Agrosingularity is a young Spanish company that we started back in 2019, with the idea to offer a solution to a problem that is like all the waste that is generated by the agriculture and the transformation industry. We collect many of the surpluses of the agriculture, of the byproduct generated by, for example, the juice industry or the canning industry and all that, and we transform it into ingredients for the food industry with a high added value.
And obviously, you saw this problem and you saw the solution in reworking the waste stream into high value ingredients. And what was it always from the perspective that you hate to see all the waste go nowhere, or what was the
it's a bit difficult, it's like a bit, I'm not going to say chaotic, but it was like a bit, there was like a lot of influence from the different sides of the problem. But one of our founders, like 4 or 5 years ago, he wrote that almost 40% of the fresh food that we produce goes straight to the waste, which is like a massive thing, a massive number. But the good thing is, like, in contrary of the general opinion, most of this lack of this loss happens usually in the household environment, in our houses, in our homes, because there are people who are buying too much, or they don't know how to store it and all that. In the agriculture and the transformation industry, this is like less than 89% of this loss. So we are quite lucky because the technology and the new generations of farmers and producers, they take this very seriously. Even though when the founders started this project back in 2019, they saw, well, there's still a lot of produce, a lot of tons that they go straight to waste, and no one is doing anything for that. And it's something that maybe is not like a nice looking product, but it's still a valuable product with a lot of nutrients, a lot of things that it can be. used. So yeah, so the general idea is like they saw as an opportunity, like a raw material that it was like a problem for many producers, that it could be generate an added benefit to the society, because it was like you were converting one problem into a solution.
Yeah. Well, I congratulate you, because I really like the products that you guys are producing today, and I really sympathize on the also reducing the waste. And how do you see that actually? Yeah, so let's take for example a broccoli, and you make broccoli powder.
Yeah.
Did you have to look for the market, or was there actually already a market for broccoli powder?
There was a market for broccoli powder, but we are based in Murcia, that we are in the southeast part of Spain. Like, in fact, we are in the sunniest city of Spain, so we have like really, it's not a rural area, it's like a really intensive in agriculture production around us. And they say that around 30% of the broccoli produced worldwide is produced here in Murcia, which is like a lot of broccoli. So, we saw that there was a demand for broccoli powder. We saw that there was interest for broccoli powder for many applications, for colorant, for sport nutrition, for cosmetics, for baby food, for a lot of applications. But before the pandemic, many companies, they were sourcing their materials from overseas, so they were looking for from this kind of product, like from China, from India, from South America, and all that. After what happened during the pandemic, like more and more companies, they focus into a local approach to the sourcing of the raw materials. So we were really competitive, because many of the customers that they were buying the broccoli powder, for example, just about broccoli, they were located in Europe, and we were like one of the few manufacturers that was offering that product back at that time. The thing is, we saw that maybe broccoli powder was not enough. So we decided to keep investigating, spending money and investing money in R&D, and we developed new process to extract the fibers, to extract the protein, to extract new products out of the broccoli. It's not just broccoli powder, just from one raw material, and you can take like 5-6 different products, which one of those with even more added value at the end of the day. So yeah, it's like we started by a coincidence, or by because we could take advantage of our situation in Murcia, but also because we saw that the market was evolving, and was like really happy with what we could give. Like the more solutions that you provide, they are willing to, and they are trying to improve their like their products, or like launch new products and things like that.
Yeah, and do you feel that your customers, are they buying your ingredients also because it's sustainable, or predominantly because it's sustainable, or because it's just the best price?
Okay, this is like, it's something that,
or all three, maybe.
This is like maybe this doesn't sound like very politically correct, but it's like, it depends, because we've seen that the big manufacturers, they are using the speech of sustainability, and some of them, they are more interested, like, yeah, I want it sustainable, but I want it cheap. And the small manufacturers, they are saying like, well, I want it sustainable, but I also want it cheap. At the end of the day, and when you are selling a commodity that is just a powder, price matters. So yeah, it's sustainable, but I cannot spend like 40 or 50% more than my previous supplier. So yeah, it's like they need to balance. Yeah, I like sustainable, but I don't want to reduce my margin a bit. So that's one of the reasons that, as I mentioned before, that we invested in R&D, because it's like, well, it's not the same to offer broccoli powder than broccoli protein. So people are willing to invest more and to spend more in that, because at the end of the day, the sustainable, yes, it's very important, but there are like another factors that are really the decision maker, or the deal breaker at the end of the day for the customer.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you continue to invest in R&D to create even finer cuts of the product. So is that what you're going to do also with other ingredients that you carry?
This is like, it's funny, because we started, the company started with broccoli, at the beginning, and joined artichoke, then started with onion, leek, tomato, a lot of things. We expanded the portfolio really quickly, but then we saw that, well, this is like maybe too much, and this is like something that it's, at this stage we should try to focus really. So we really started reducing again the scope. We have like a few products that are now like our bread and butter, or like we have like many different raw materials, but we focus like in the ABB. That is like, well, in Spanish it's ABB, but in English will be artichoke and all its derivatives, broccoli and all its derivatives, and spent grain, like from the barley, the beer production, or the barley that is left, the byproduct generated. So those will be like our three most important raw materials. And from those, we are taking out protein, fibers. We are investing now, and we are doing outdoor research, trying to extract beta-glucans, fructooligosaccharides, and a lot of products that hopefully in a few months they will be already in our portfolio.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, it's always like that with a startup. You go wide, and then you go focused again, and then you go wide, and you go focused again. Can you tell us what is the environmental impact? Do you know, for example, how many tons of waste that you are saving on a? Is that also something that you track?
It's something that we are really proud of that, because for every single customer, we give them a report of the tons of carbon emissions that they have saved, all the tons of food that they have saved, and all the tons ingredient, like the amount that of the order that they had, generated a benefit to the society, all the tons of food that you haven't lost or that haven't gone to the waste. And it's something that is audit, it's something that we can prove it, and it's something that we can show. And, like we have like some customers at this stage, they are small customers, but they are including a QR code in the label where they can see and they can track this information, because it's like something that, they are using the sustainability speech, and they are claiming that, and they prove it, they prove it, and they can show to the customers, hey, we are sustainable because we are sourcing a sustainable raw material that is sourced with a sustainable process.
Excellent. Sorry, Alvaro, I need to come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's super cool what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
And really support in bringing these waste streams into more value, saving a lot of potential cost and waste in that matter, and having a great product at the same time. So thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation.
For sure, we
will
be in touch in the future.
Okay, hopefully we will stay in touch soon. And thanks again for the opportunity, and thanks again to 1-2 Days of all the labor and all the help that we as a customer we really appreciate.
Welcome, Aart, to 1-2 Taste Talks Food Ingredients, our webinar about the food ingredients industry. And today we're talking specifically about sustainable practices and sustainable ingredients and the challenges around that. But maybe good for our listeners to also get to know Aart and your company, Moringa Wize, a bit better. So if you would be so kind to tell us a bit more about that.
Jasper, thank you very much for having me on this little show. And my name is Aart van der Bos from the Netherlands. I'm an entrepreneur. I established different companies over time, always active in food supply chains and helping international food supply chains to become more sustainable through setting up companies on production, for example, in African countries, in Latin America, for example. And specifically with Moringa Wize, we focus on, let's say, the Moringa plant as a start. We've done 5 years of research to the characteristics of the plant. So we developed one is a biostimulant, and that is because that's good for plants and trees. Next to that, we also use the plant for powder, which can be used in the food industry, or tea leaf. It can also be used in the food industry, cosmetics for the oil, and some other products. So we are happy. We also joined 1-2 Taste about 1.5 years ago, and we are sustainability is in our veins, so to say. It's in our DNA.
Very good. And if we talk about sustainable ingredients, often cost is coming is part of that discussion. Do you believe that costs are an important factor of market success?
Yeah, I believe that cost is definitely an important factor of market success. In fact, the cost of a product is one of the most important factors that clients or consumers consider when making purchasing decisions. If a product is too expensive, for example, it will not sell well, even if it's of high quality. But at the same time, if a product is priced too low, consumers may perceive it as being of low quality or not worth their money. But yeah, that being said, it is important to find the right balance between cost and quality to achieve market success. You know, in the food and cosmetics and agri industries where we are active, clients are often willing to pay a premium for products that are perceived as healthier or more sustainable or better for human bodies or for their crops in the agri sector. And for that reason, we are, for example, organically certified. And we focus clearly on combining social impact, ecological impact with commercial success. And therefore, it's important to keep in mind that cost should not be the only consideration when setting a price. Other factors such as quality, brand reputation, certification, in our case organic, and market demand also play an important role in determining the price, but also the success of the product.
And is this also how you, as a company, Moringa Wize, are dealing with the price setting? So you do market research, or how does that work in your case?
Yeah, we follow different strategies. One of the strategies is that we use to deal with pricing challenges through conducting a lot of market research, as you already said, to understand consumer demands and preferences. And this helps us to determine the optimal price point for the products that takes into account both cost and also the client's willingness to pay. And in addition, we also consider using dynamic pricing strategies such as offering promotional pricing, adjusting prices based on market conditions. There's examples like the past period where there's war in Ukraine and Russia, then that really has a big impact on the market. And another strategy that we sometimes use is to focus on cost reduction when that is through innovation and also efficiency. If you grow, you have purchase power, and you can lower your cost price by just having advantages in buying larger quantities for ingredients, for example. And by reducing cost, we can maintain a competitive edge while still providing high quality products at an affordable price. And ultimately, it's important that for us to be flexible and adaptable to changing market conditions and client preferences, of course, because that change over time. And by monitoring the market closely and being willing to adjust pricing strategies as needed, we can navigate these challenges and hopefully achieve long-term success.
Yeah. So it's not really a cost plus model, but it is a market-based pricing model.
Yeah. And then, as said, we use different pricing strategies.
Yeah. And how do you? I mean, there is. It's not only the right thing to do, producing and selling sustainable ingredients, but it's also very necessary to do this. How do you see the challenges in supply and demand in that particular field? Because sustainable ingredients are actually, there's not that many. Yes, there is a lot, but if you look at the total consumption, it's still a very small percentage that is, for example, organic, let alone regenerative. How do you see this in terms in relation with pricing and availability, etc.?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm a sort of ecological evangelist for a few decades almost already. And so in recent years, there has been a growing trend towards healthier and more sustainable products across all the sectors where we work in. I think you also recognize that in the market, even though it's still small. But clients increasingly are interested in products that are organic or non-GMO or environmentally friendly or socially friendly, like fair trade, as well as products that cater to specific dietary needs and restrictions. There's an increasing demand for, let's say, health products. For people are more and more aware of it, and this trend is likely to continue in the coming years. And since we are able to respond to these changing demand, I think we are at the right time at the moment. And another trend actually that may emerge is in the coming years is the increased use of technology as well in industries. With all kind of compounds from for example waste streams, which you can use in the industry, or we look at more other types of technological innovations like artificial intelligence or machine learning to make your processes better and to better understand clients' preferences, for example, and optimize the products and the marketing strategies. And additionally, we are looking at using blockchain to increase transparency and traceability also in the supply chains, which can help us to build trust with clients and even and get more insight in what end users are doing. So finally, there may be increased regulatory scrutiny in these industries as well, particularly around issues related to labeling or animal welfare or sustainability. So we proactively address these topics, and I think that is important that we show what we do, but we also do what we say, and commit to our vision and our thoughts that we have for the long run, not only for ourselves but also for, let's say, our customers and basically future generations, because that is what we have in mind.
Yeah. Wow. I think you guys are on top of things. It sounds like you're doing the right things here, Aart. Unfortunately, the time is going always so fast in these webinars, and we've come to an end. But thank you very much for sharing your insights. I think it's really helpful for people to also realize that there's different strategies you can take in order to enter a market. And obviously, there's different routes to markets, and there's also the technology component that you're mentioning that will be of more value in the future and can be used for different aspects in the supply chain, for sure. Well, thank you very much, Aart, and we'll be in touch for sure.
Okay, most welcome. Thank you.
Hi, Bert-Jan. Welcome to the Want to Taste podcast webinar talks. Want to Taste talks food ingredients. Today we're talking specifically about sustainability, something that is very familiar to you. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's good for our listeners that you give a brief introduction of yourself and Profound, your company that you run.
Yes, my company is Profound. We started some 30 years ago, Jasper. And we started as a company that was dealing a lot with supply chain scenarios, and in particular in a biodiversity context. So we worked a lot with producers and suppliers, small suppliers, I should say, from tropical forests, looking at overcoming logistical issues. That means adding value to the products and lowering the volumes in order to also be logistically feasible. Economically as well, of course.
Yeah, so it's interesting because we also had an interview with Monique from Solidaridad. She was talking about her 30 years of experience. Now we have another 30 years of experience, and I think I can conclude both of you. And you mentioned that to me in earlier meetings. that actually you didn't succeed in getting the right impact in the end. But also the momentum is also now, I think.
True to some extent, yes. But I think if you look over time, what happened is that if you look at Solidaridad, but also Fair Trade as an organization, they have moved much in the supplier scenarios, increasing volume with producers and fair trading. We, over time, have become more and more involved with companies. We've been doing a lot of work on a, let's say, slightly private sector level approach to see how we can help buyers in markets getting to the right supplies. And at some point, of course, you again meet organizations like Solidaridad and Fair Trade when it comes to how to organize the trade sustainably and fair. But at the other hand, there's always been a tension between what buyers are looking for and what suppliers are offering. And I think we've always been working at that interface up to the levels where we dealt a lot with trade formulas for trade promotion organizations like CBI in the Netherlands, SIPO in Switzerland. I've been advising also UNCTAD Biotrade on setting up biotrade scenarios at, let's say, national levels, and then working with companies that want to engage with biotrade being then the interface between biodiversity and trade, of course.
Yeah. So what do you see are the main challenges today in supply security? You also hear sounds about greenwashing and those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. So the issues are still very much the same, I should say. But the landscape has changed enormously, where you've seen that over time, let's say, corporate private sector has been looking for more and more volume. We've always been, let's say, been challenged to work with suppliers that work with unique products, more at, let's say, the supply scenarios that are less scalable. I think you and I discussed that. There's scalable models and there's unscalable models. Yeah. And there's always been a tension between the bigger buyers and the smaller buyers with specialty products. And that's where we engage. We work more with the specialty products. This is also, of course, when you then look at the changing landscape, it's in twofold. One is the companies, let's say the competition has grown enormously. If you look at global trade, how it has grown over the past 20, 30 years, that's enormous. And hence the demand for, let's say, also the unique products has also substantially increased. So there's an enormous tension. At the same time, you see the whole issue of climate changes. And climate changes, I'm talking about plural because it has enormous effects in the countries where we are sourcing. And that also changes their landscape. There's been droughts, there's been floodings, etc. That is an enormous, let's say, burden when you talk about sustainable supply scenarios. So what we are trying to do is to, in this mounting pressure of competition, to try and see how you can build with your suppliers a sustainable supply scenario that is interesting for particular buyers. And that's what we do. But I must say, it's become more of a challenge. At the other hand, you could also say that we've just passed 2-3 years of COVID. And what has happened in that period is that you see an enormous change in the way we do the business. And whereas before we would travel a lot to the countries, then work with the suppliers, then we would go to trade fairs, the classical model, then we would engage with the buyers at the trade fairs and in between, of course. But that was the traditional pattern. Over COVID, what we've seen is that our business model has also changed a lot, in a sense that we work more online, we do more online trainings, we do more online contacts between suppliers and buyers. And we've discussed this several times, how that works, also with your platform. It's not easy, because I'm a people's person. I like to engage with people. Online working is quite different, but it has to happen also to reduce our own carbon footprint. Now, that same principle offers a potential. And this is what you see at the supply side, but also at the buyer side. Buyers have become more and more aware that consumers are demanding more insight, more clarity, more transparency in the supply chains. And they are also asking to help producers getting into sustainable supply scenarios. The most recent, let's say, fashion in that way is of course regenerative. We talked about that. Regenerative then meaning that whatever you source has to be replenished and more. It means that we have to deal with soil and water systems in the countries where we are sourcing, whether that be in agroforestry context, in a forestry context, or even in an agricultural context. And that's the same challenges that we see in the Netherlands as well. How do you help farmers to get into a more sustainable model? And they call that now regenerative. But of course, in our early experiences when we started, when we talked about organic was much the same. And then the fundamental question is, of course, why is what we call organic never become mainstream in the market? And I think that same challenge is currently when we talk about regenerative. How do you make it more mainstream for buyers and for consumers? It also means it has a pressure on pricing, of course.
And what do you think is the biggest hurdle why it's not mainstream yet?
Who pays the price? I think that's the challenge, because if you talk about regenerative or organic as it was meant to be, or agroecology as also people refer to, let's say, sustainable supply, it means that you have to invest in models. And this is, I think you and I recently, we were traveling in the Philippines, where we talked a lot with a number of companies on regenerative supply scenarios. Now, who will be investing in helping the suppliers, the producers, to change their models into more regenerative systems? That's costly. It's not a cost that the buyers will take upfront. It's where you can ask buyers to co-invest in models. And that's where we are at the moment, that we try and look for buyers that want to co-invest in changing the models. But what we can learn from the past is that we have to work on a bigger scale than what we did before. And the interesting fact now is that the regenerative models offer that opportunity more than before, because we can merge, let's say, the volume production, like with, we have the example from the Philippines where we talk about coconut products. There's a lot of products that you can make from coconut. At the same time, you can, up to the level of the shells, you can use the shells to making high value charcoal for shisha or for barbecues. And that's what we are helping to invest in. So it's already a kind of circular model in that sense. But you can also do intercropping. So you can do, and that's what we talked about, like with turmeric and ginger and so many other products that you can do at the same time. But on the business model, it's a different model. Rather than you look at the mono value chain, you look at a multiple value chain, where you look into multiple products that are sourced at the same time, but have different seasonalities, different requirements when it comes to the growing, the harvesting, the post-harvest treatment, etc. So how do you organize these models? But the interesting fact is that when you talk about agroforestry models, it offers a very interesting model economically. And this is, I think, what we are currently trying to set up.
I think we need another hour, Bert-Jan.
Yes, definitely.
I'm really sorry to cut you short, because and we will do more about this. I'm sure in future podcasts. I think this is a subject that you cannot grasp in a couple of minutes.
Sure.
But thanks very much for at least creating the landscape in which you are operating, and how you are helping a sustainable and regenerative ingredients go to the market, and the difficulties around that. But for sure, Bert-Jan, there will be a follow-up on this. But for now, I need to close it. Thank you so much for taking the time today
to maybe
also
a note from my side to thank you for engaging in this type of discussions and debate about how do you set up these models? How do you change the models? Because I think that's also where we are looking forward to see and engage with Want to Taste to see how you create such multi-product models. Yeah. Thank you.
We've come to the end of today's episode of the Sustainable Food Ingredients podcast. We've gained valuable insights into the latest trends in sustainable food ingredients and examined the importance of adopting environmentally friendly processes and practices in the food industry. We would like to thank our experts guests for sharing their knowledge and perspective on this important topic. Join us again for our next episode as we continue to explore the world of food ingredients. This was Want to Taste Talks Food Ingredients. If you want to know more, please check our website.